Congressman Brown, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Given the context of the conversation we just had with Liz Holtzman, what do Democrats in Congress do about the things that Republicans are doing to hold up the process?
Yeah, first of all, Ali, we don't use it as an opportunity or let them use it to delay and distract from the important work that's being done. And that's all it is. This is a ploy. Adam Schiff, as chairman, has the tools he needs to make sure that access is for the people that ought to be in the hearing and no one else. We've got to focus on the issue at hand. And we saw the issue in the July 25th summary transcript when the president of the United States said to the president of Ukraine that in exchange for a White House visit and military aid, I want you to do me a favor to dig up dirt on my political opponent. That's essentially what this is all about, and that's where we need to stay focused. I will also say that what I haven't seen the Republicans do, because I don't think they can, is to stand up and defend that conduct from this president.
Congressman, it's point this becomes public, whatever Republicans are concerned about happening behind closed doors, even though there are Republicans behind those closed doors hearing the same depositions. At some point it becomes public. There are reports that Democrats are looking at making their findings public by about mid-November. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, what I know is that Adam Schiff has made a commitment publicly. He's made it to the Democratic caucus that we're not going to needlessly delay this investigation. But keep in mind, when you have stunts like yesterday, it makes it a little bit more difficult to wrap up the work that needs to be done. There are still more people that we have to interview, more documents that we have to review, which this administration has refused to make available to the committee. But the goal is sooner rather than later, so long as it's fair and just. And let me just say the whole thing, if I can address the kind of open and transparent nature. This is as fair as it gets. You have no restrictions placed on Republicans that are not placed on Democratic members or staff when it comes to interviewing witnesses and reviewing documents. Much of this is done behind closed doors because it's confidential.
I'm just going to ask you, because on that very point, Lindsey Graham is introducing a resolution that's going to affect all of you. Can we just listen in for a second? Stand by with me.
They've created a process in the Intel committee that's behind closed doors, doesn't provide access to the president's accuser, shuts Republicans out for all practical purposes, and is a unworthy substitute for the way you need to do it, is at its core un-American. And I can tell you what we did in the past. Let's go to 98. In 1998, in October, we had an impeachment inquiry vote on the floor of the House. I was there. 31 Democrats voted to open up an impeachment inquiry. And after that inquiry, where's the other chart? These were the rights given to President Clinton, his team, and members of the minority. None of this exists today. What's going on is a runaround the impeachment process, creating a secret proceeding behind closed doors that fundamentally is, in my view, denies due process. And when you're talking about removing the President of the United States, seems to me you'd want to have a process that is consistent with who we are as Americans and consistent with what Bill Clinton was allowed to do, Richard Nixon was allowed to do, and the process in the House today. All right,
we're going to continue to listen in to Lindsey Graham, but I want to go back to Congressman Anthony Brown. Congressman, we are accustomed to the fact that in Congress some things happen behind closed doors and some things happen open to the public. Lindsey Graham is articulating the process that is underway by Democrats right now as being one that is being held in secret. What do you say to that?
Look, when he describes it that way, all he does is try to leave the impression that there's something nefarious going on. Let's keep in mind, you have 25% of the Republican caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives is in that room. That's unprecedented. 25%.
So it's not secret to Republicans. It's not secret. There are things that are going on in rooms, in meetings, where only Democrats are there with witnesses.
That is right. And in fact, every privilege, let's say, that a Democratic member has to ask questions and review documents, those exact privileges are available to Republican members and their staff. Why is this in closed session? Because much of the information is classified and a lot of it is sensitive. And this is different from 1973 Nixon, 1998 Clinton, because in those cases they had a special prosecutor or an independent counsel who did what we're doing now in closed session behind closed doors. So right now, Adam Schiff and the Intelligence Committee are doing what we had done in 73 and 1998 by special prosecutors and independent counsel.
Congressman, I want to turn to another topic, and that is your colleague, Congressman Elijah Cummings. A warrior and drum major for justice is what's been said about him. Earlier, late Congressman Elijah Cummings was honored in the Capitol, where he's now lying in state. He was a son of sharecroppers. He stood as a powerful figure on Capitol Hill for more than 2 decades, providing a powerful voice to the voiceless, fighting for stricter gun control laws and health care access for every American. Until his final days, Cummings remained one of the most influential leaders for civil rights. And as political rights, Cummings' casket sat about 75 feet away from a statue of another civil rights icon, Rosa Parks, and just steps away from the bust of the former Confederate president, Jefferson Davis, a reminder of Washington's troubled history with race, which Cummings himself battled throughout his life. Congressman, you called the late Congressman Elijah Cummings a dear friend, leading by example with both a gavel and a bullhorn. This came upon America as a bit of a shock, a bit of a surprise when Elijah Cummings passed. Tell me what we need to remember about him.
What we need to know about Elijah is that he was all about empowering the people. He said that in his very first floor speech in April of 1996, and he acted on that in everything that he did. Every decision he made, every position he took was to empower the people. He was unique in that he was always leading at what I say the intersection of intellect and passion. He was smart, and he put his emotions into the work based on his life experience. And as a result, we all love him, we honor him, respect him, and the most important thing we can do is to continue our work in the same footsteps that Elijah has been traveling for the last 4 decades as a public servant.
Congressman Anthony Brown of Maryland is a friend and colleague of the late Congressman Elijah Cummings. Congressman, thanks for joining me.